Hello and welcome to the IndieSider podcast, where I, Ken Gagne of YouTube channel Gamebits, play indie games and pair them with developer interviews to figure out just what the heck they were thinking when they made these games. This week I'm playing Road Not Taken, released yesterday, August 5th, 2014 by Spry Fox for PC, Mac, and PlayStation 4, their first console game from this company. I'll be interviewing Mr. Pat Kemp, one of the game designers, later on in this episode, while I play some of the more advanced levels of Road Not Taken. But to start, I'm going to be playing the training mode and some of the early levels, while I show you this game that references the classic Robert Frost poem about the road not taken. This game is a roguelike puzzler. Yes, that makes 3 episodes of IndieSider in a row where I've inadvertently played roguelikes, all very different. One a twin-stick shooter, one a dungeon crawler, and then this, a puzzler, really, with some town simulation, kind of like Harvest Moon or ActRaiser. So in this game, you play a freelance ranger who was brought to town by this chubby little captain. Some villagers were out harvesting berries, they didn't make it back, and that is your job in this game. When you arrive in town, you make friends, you meet people, and then you go and you save the children. Always about the children. What does Mama have to say? A blizzard caught us while we were out picking winter berries. Yes, I believe the good Captain Smith told us that. Separated from your daughter, looking for her for hours, freeze to death. I shall save her. But you bump into these people. Oh, your niece is out there too. And bumping into things is how you find out about them. You push X to get to the options mode, leaderboards. Well, I'm probably not going to rank. So let's go ahead and go into the forest. Now it says you can pick up a tree by pressing space, but you'll notice that I can only approach it from this direction. So when I pick up the tree, there it is. You'll notice that I lose health by carrying it around, so rather than carry it to where I want it to be, it's best to throw it. But I can only throw it in the direction that it's facing. So right now I can only throw it right. And right now I can only throw it north. So there is a lot of manipulation to try to get pieces to be exactly where you want them to be. Put 2 trees together. Now you can see on the left side of the screen it says 2 trees, and that's how you know how to open the gate to the next room. And there we go. Doesn't matter the arrangement as long as the trees are adjacent. Fruit, fruit. And here's a sleeping child. Here's the one I'm trying to find. Got to open up this gate here by opening, or rather pairing 2 trees. And now I can carry the child, or I can just throw the child and save myself some health. But apparently this one I need to actually bring here. So there, brought the child back to the parent, and now the parent is happy. And now I'm in town. This is a slight break between levels. There are about 16 levels, each one representing a winter or a year. The children were out hunting berries, then bad weather hit. So bad for business. The entire village makes its living off those berries. This guy will let you go through the training again, which you don't need to see in this Let's Play. Thank you very much. The handsome man proclaims, "I'm frozen solid! I've been singing at all the funerals." He's a professional funeral singer. Great way to make a living. Bump. Love. Job, love, children. The destination for all good people. There are only 3 areas in the entire town. There's this little house. There is the village square. Talking to any of the musicians will bring up the credits for the game. Each musician is a different segment of the credits. And there's Mr. Pat Kemp, who I'll be speaking with later. Yay. And then each of these people you can speak with. A stranger, you did know everybody around here. But now I'm here. So you see these little meters that appear above their heads. As you gain inventory, you can give away goods to the villagers and earn their trust and faith. And then they become your friends. And apparently you can even marry, I think. But this is the first level, so let's go ahead and say I'll save the kids. This is where the mayor gives you some advice. So I have the rod that allows me to teleport. So push the X key and teleport to mayor. So wherever I am in the forest, I can pop right back to the mayor. But I can't bring anything with me. So it's only like if I get cornered, for example. It's not a quick way to save the children. I want to bring the children to a parent who is somewhere in the woods or back to this room. When the wind blows, your health is likely to fall, so you want to watch out for that. What's this child? Hello? Put the tree with another tree to unlock certain doors. Oh, it's 2 of these fir trees. What does this say? So I don't know why there was a dead child there crying for me. But there. Fruit. And that's one of the inventory items. These do not allow you to replenish your health. Berries, rabbits, and rice. Found a book near the hives. And now I have the book. And this is where I find all my recipes, because you can combine items in the woods. So it's not just a matter of rearranging stuff to get out of the room, it's actually finding out how you can create new things. So 3 beehives equals a pot of honey, or a jar of honey. So watch. Like that, and like that. And then that gives me 10 health. So you can see I have 55, I just had 33 a second ago. Now I just need to get this child to the parent. I have gotten the honeycombs out of the way. Let's see if I can bring the parent to the child instead. Yep. Yay, and that gives me a bonus 15 health. And I've rescued 1 of the 5 children. I still need to put these trees together to open the door, and there it goes. Now watch, if I take this away, the gate will open and close accordingly. So now I can even go back this way, a little shortcut right there. Put some trees together again. Not that kind of tree. This kind. What does this say? Yep. Bring them to the parents, bring them to the mayor. Watch out for the wolves. I can pick them up, but they will hurt. And also notice that they take up 2 spaces, so they're more arduous to carry. Now let's see, how can I throw these 2 together? The parent can only go straight down. Oh, that's right. Everything you bump into adds an item to your logbook about what exactly those things are. So, do I have a, I don't have a wolf. Why don't I have a wolf in there? Now see, I picked up too many things here. I can't move at all now because something is in the way no matter which direction I go. But let's try this. There. Still gotta put 3 trees together to get out of here. Has to be this kind of tree with the eyes. And here we are back here now. Or not back here, we haven't been here yet. Honey, let's get this tree out of the way. Whoops. Not exactly what I want to do. There we go. And there we go. That should be all 5. As soon as you finish saving all the children, you're automatically teleported out. So you can just go for broke once you're going after that 5th and final child. He gives me some money. 10 money. I think they're dispersed in units of 5, so it's really more like 2 money. A job well done. Good job, Ranger. Ranger Smith? I don't know. And we still don't know the story behind that lost child. There is more to this game than meets the eye. So I will show you a bit more of the village scene, because that changes after the first year. And then I'll go into the interview with Mr. Kemp. You've become part of our village now. Feel free to use the old house. Here's the key. Yay! House key. Now I can live here. And it comes with a cat. So cute, so cute. Oh my goodness. Aw. See, I bumped into my cat, and now I have an item for the cat. And it looks like there are 3 things I can make that the cat is a part of. I don't think it's that I can make cats 3 different ways. I can get the fork. A jar of honey is worth plus 10 energy, so 10 energy more than it was before. And here's the whole house. These are where I put all my items that I'll be finding throughout my 16 years of saving children in the woods. Here's the bedroom. There's the house key I already have. Swell. You will see me go down through this trap door later. And this is, I thought, pretty clever. Right in the game, you can sign up for their email list. Nifty. What's this? And there's the poem by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. Alright. So now you can interact with the villagers in a more meaningful way. None of them really know you, even though you've saved some children. But you can give them stuff, and if it shows up in green, like copper and berries do here, then that's something that they really like. If it's red, it's something that they really hate. But you want to give them something green, and they'll come to like you. So I'm going to give her 2 of my berries. I couldn't give her just 1. They pay big money for berries. What a generous gift. So you can see, there goes the meter. She's starting to fill up. And it's acquaintances, and it goes from like acquaintances to friends to good friends. And I always know how to make her smile. Sometimes they give you stuff back, like that right there. It's +5 energy. Sometimes they'll give you items like more gold or rice or whatever, which you can then give to other people in the village. Now, what does Rose want? She gave me money. And then I can share money back with her. Money makes me happy. If nothing else is true, at least that is. Wow, you're a gold digger. Good to know. And then Maya gave me a rope of social bonds, +4 parents. So that means that there are more parents in the forest and more places for me to drop off the kids without having to bring them back to the mayor. Then there are some guys here. I don't know that I am flirting with them like I am the ladies, but I can still make friends with them. This guy just gave me rice for no reason. That would be strange if that happened in the real world. But now he likes rice, so I'm just going to give it back to him. And rather than being seen as an Indian giver, he says, oh, I can pay my taxes now. Yay! And this person. My family is reasonably well off. We've dedicated moderate sum to charity over the years. People like you are why I still donate. So much wasted panet. Ooh. I already don't like this guy, but he's giving me berries, so that's okay. You can find rabbits in the woods. That's where you find rabbits. I'm gonna give this guy some money. He hugs me. Which is kind of a lame way to get somebody to like you. Giving him money. Oh, but then he gives me something in return. Dark spirits appear later. Oh man, as you're gonna hear in my interview with Pat, I hate dark spirits. But I can only have 2 charms equipped at a time. I really don't know which one I want. The physician checks me over. About 14 years before the end. That's about right, actually. Because there are about 16 years in this game. Okay, so rather than show you level 2, I'm going to show you some more complicated levels now. So let us start the interview with Spry Fox. Joining me today to talk about Road Not Taken is one of the game's designers, Mr. Pat Kemp. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Ken. How you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you?
I'm great.
So thank you for giving me early access to this game. It just came out yesterday, August 5th. I've been having a great time playing it. Has there been a lot of anticipation leading up to it?
We certainly hope so. We've been releasing blog posts and trailer videos and things, trying to build up momentum. So the reception has been good so far. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't even remember how I found out about this. I think one of my friends posted about it on Facebook. Lori and Green might have done that, and that's a little bit unusual because unless a game gets coverage from a really big website like Game Informer or Destructoid, I usually find out about indie games after they've been released and word of mouth starts to build, but your game seems to already be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, we're putting in kind of more marketing effort than we usually do on this game because it's also our first console game, so the whole building up a marketing crescendo to release method is kind of new to us. So yeah, we're making an effort to try and get the ball rolling before release.
Excellent. So it sounds like you have quite the team working on this, designers, musicians. You're doing a lot of marketing as well. I don't think that's what some people think of when they think of indie games. So everybody has a different definition of indie game. I have one that I use for this show. What would your definition be?
I think I can't speak for Spry Fox, but my personal definition is, a company's indie if they are not beholden to anyone else financially or creatively. Sometimes a strong publisher-developer relationship might call that into question. And I think with a company like Spry Fox, where we have 11 full-time employees, it's probably already stretching some people's definitions of what an indie game company looks like, because you sort of picture the 1 or 2 people, like the tiny teams. I mean, and we don't go around calling ourselves indie, I think, just to avoid that sort of semantic argument kind of thing. But I've worked at a lot of companies, and Spry Fox definitely feels indie to me.
And the choice to not be beholden to a manufacturer or publisher, is that a creative choice? I mean, there seems to be some people who think that indie developers are those who can't get a publisher.
That's a funny point of view. And this kind of goes back to Daniel Cook and David Eteries. Those are the founders of Spry Fox. They're sort of reasons for starting the company, and they're both industry veterans who have worked in AAA environments. And, both of them did a lot of work at Microsoft for quite a while. And Spry Fox was specifically intended as a departure from that sort of game development, and basically having an avenue to make original games without feeling hamstrung by some corporate requirements. I don't think we would have problems getting a publisher deal if we wanted to do that, or become beholden if we wanted to. If anything, the challenge is working to not have to do that.
So this is not Spry Fox's first rodeo. You've released several games before. How does Road Not Taken build on that lineage? Are there games that have informed this one, or is this something completely new for your team?
In a lot of ways, it's pretty new. It's pretty different than our usual type of game. Both in the fact that it's a console game, and it's we're releasing it as a upfront payment retail game, whereas typically we make free to play games and earn our money through in-game monetization. So it's different in those respects. And as far as gameplay wise, I guess you could maybe compare it to Triple Town, but in that there's like object matching and it's on a discrete grid. But it's also kind of vastly different than Triple Town in a lot of ways. And that's kind of the intent. We like to experiment a lot with gameplay and systems at Spry Fox. So I think if it was easy to point at a game in our portfolio that Road Not Taken was like, we wouldn't feel like we were entirely doing our job. A lot of our games, we're happy when our games kind of defy easy categorization.
Well, speaking of categorization, I didn't launch this YouTube series with the intention of focusing solely on roguelike games, but this is the third week in a row when I've played a game that describes itself that way. And Road Not Taken certainly has some qualities of that, like I noticed that although the way the rooms connect to each other, the overall layout of the level seems to be predefined, at least that's my impression. The contents of each room and how you get from one room to the next seem to be random. But there is no permadeath, because if I die, I can always start the level over. So in what way do you consider this a roguelike?
That's funny. I've actually listened to some of your previous episodes, and happy to continue the conversation of that about roguelike and that definition. So you're pretty much right about the level generation. The layout is also randomly generated in later levels, but the first few missions have kind of preset layouts. So you will start to see more variation in the overall layouts, and then the room-to-room puzzles are randomly generated each time. Sorry, what else did you ask about?
Well, you definitely don't have permadeath in this game.
Well, yeah, so we do in a way. So you have, if you die via running out of energy, you die, and so you restart as a new character, although you look the same because you're this hooded ranger, and there are a couple of ways to get around that. So, like, if you go back to the mayor and abandon children, and you have less than half of them, then that is your he'll give you one more chance, and if you do that a second time, you'll be kicked out of the village, and that's essentially death. And then we have the shrine system, which is kind of like a stone shrine you find out in the forest, and if you sacrifice resources to it, it creates a save point, basically. So, a couple of those measures were basically, the original game, it was straight up permadeath, and we added some of those measures to kind of take the edge off it a little, because the play sessions for Road Not Taken can be a lot longer than like something like Spelunky, where you might, get several levels in and then die, and it doesn't feel like some huge loss. But in Road Not Taken, it could be, you can spend hours and then die, and so we were trying to take a little edge off of that. But yeah, I would still count permadeath, or maybe like half permadeath, as a tick in the roguelike column.
For example, I was playing the Nightmare Cooperative a couple weeks ago on the previous episode, and I could go through the entire game in, say, 10-15 minutes, whereas Road Not Taken, 10 to 15 minutes is how long it takes me to get through a single level. And there are how many levels in this game?
If you make it all the way through, there's 15 levels.
A single one of your 15 levels is the same as going through all 16 levels of the Nightmare Cooperative. So when I die in that game, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll just start over. But if I die in Road Not Taken, I'm like, I don't want to get invested in that much again. That was a lot of work. So I'm glad that you have those shrine systems and, the sort of half a permadeath.
Yeah. I mean, that's that reaction when we were doing internal playtesting, especially when we were in the end game stuff. That exact reaction is what we added the shrines in response to.
I mean, there's been a lot of talk in the past year about how checkpoints are important to certain games, and that bad checkpointing can just ruin a game. And I would hate to see that happen here.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting. Like, we didn't want to make the shrines just like a simple checkpoint system, because we already felt like we wanted the game to have a brutal, difficult feel, right? So, to actually use the shrines, you have to give up resources, and you have to basically sacrifice. So the way it works is like if you're at year 9 and you sacrifice resources at the shrine, and then you play until year 12 and you die, you go back to year 9. So it's like wherever you use the shrine is like your save point, but you have to continuously do that. So if you make it to 12 and you want to go back to 12, you have to do it again, sacrificing more resources, and it starts to become a pretty big drain on your resources to keep using shrines. So there's a strategic choice, like whether or not you think you can make it through a given year without dying. Maybe it's not worth investing in a shrine this time versus playing it safe and using your resources to shrine every year.
So the resources are for giving to villagers and to throw into shrines. Is there anything else that they can be used for?
Nope, those are the two.
Because when my energy was really low, I kept thinking to myself, if only I could eat this rice.
No such luck.
Okay, so this game is based on a Robert Frost poem, which is not a common inspiration for a game. So I'm wondering, did somebody at Spry Fox read this poem and say, I want to make a game out of this? Or did you start working on the game and say, hey, this kind of reminds us of that poem?
It was definitely the latter. So the game started out very much as a abstract puzzle game. I think in the original prototype, it was you were in a dungeon, and we used some kind of generic fantasy sprites, and so that's why the forest, the screens of the forest still feel kind of room-like, and that they have doors and locks and stuff. And then, yeah, I think the theme sort of emerged as like a thought experiment of what would be a good thematic match for a roguelike game, in that you're a game where you're, and this is again, in the early versions of the game when it was like straight up permadeath. This kind of game where you die over and over, and you try and get as far as you can, but you're frequently dying and learning more and more as you go. And so the idea of sort of experimenting with trying to live the best life, so to speak, like because in a way, I guess that's what a roguelike is. You're trying to live the one life that makes it all the way through, and the one incarnation that's successful. And so that meditation, using that as a conduit for a kind of a thematic meditation on what it means to live a good life, and the pitfalls that life throws at you, and dealing with that and stuff. So I guess that's sort of how it emerged, and then the reference to the poem seemed like a good fit, and also it's kind of evocative. Here in Road Not Taken, that's a common question: is like what does it have to do with the poem and everything? So we found it's a good way to get people kind of into the game, kind of prime them for the theme, which is kind of like somber and sad in some ways, and is our own sort of like nerdy take on the roguelike genre.
That's really interesting when you put it the way you did about trying to lead the one life that gets you to the end. Not only is that more philosophical than it would have occurred to me, but it also makes me think of another indie game, which is Super Time Force.
Yeah, totally.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the mechanics of this game. We talked about the forest, but before you even get into the forest, there is the whole village, and you have a home, and there are villagers that you're trying to make friends with. So this could have been a completely serviceable standalone puzzler where you're just going through the forest, and that's mostly what I saw in the trailer. And I was a little surprised to find this whole town dynamic. So why add that half of the game?
So that half of the game emerged from the theme, I would say, and because we wanted to talk about, through the game, talk about the sense of this character's life and what it looks like. And so we like to think of the forest sequence, the puzzle game, as the hero's job, so their career, which for most people constitutes a large portion of how you would define their life, right? And so then we wanted the metagame of the villagers and the collecting goods in your house to sort of represent, the other big portions of living a life, with, your interpersonal relationships, whether or not you get married, whether or not you accrue material wealth, and also, I mean, just from a pure design point of view, we wanted to add some progression mechanics, so it feels like there's some sort of accumulation of progress, and to give you some strategic choices in the form of the charms you can equip and the secrets that the NPCs can impart to you, and the ability to ban objects from the forest. A lot of that stuff kind of riffed off the theme, and then
there aren't many games that can balance that kind of dichotomy very well. Certainly ActRaiser was one of them, with the simulation mode and the action mode, and then Harvest Moon with the both simulation aspect but the farming mode, and then the town aspect with the socializing with various villagers.
Yeah, that was one of the big influences for the relationship system, Harvest Moon games.
Yeah, I can definitely see that influence here. That's cool. Well, actually, let me talk a little bit more about the village. I noticed that I accidentally broke a jar in my home, and every time I die, it's still broken. Can I ever fix it?
You can, in a way. So if you bump the jar pieces, it will have an entry in the Book of Secrets, just like any other object, and you'll probably notice some kind of question mark blanks in there, which refer to undiscovered crafting recipes. So there are things you can craft with the broken pieces of pots.
Now, I've seen the way that you can combine items in the forest, and I'm guessing that when I look at the logbook, I see all those question marks in there. Is that detailing the recipes of what this item can be used for?
Yeah, exactly. So those will be recipes, either recipes you can use to make the item in question, or recipes that use the item in question to craft something else.
Okay. And that brings me to another question, which is I found out how you can craft an axe. I think it was by merging 4 red spirits, but I am constantly haunted by these spirits. I enter a room that's full of them, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be game over for me, because I need to get past them, but the only way I can know to do that is to absorb them by walking into them, and then I lose all this health. And one time I accidentally combined them into this uber spirit, this deep, dark, glowy, drippy thing with teeth that was chasing me, and I definitely did not mean to do that. So when I see these spirits, what the heck do I do? Can you give me some advice, please?
Sure. Okay, so the spirits are, like many of the objects in our game, we try to give them dual uses. So sometimes they're dangerous, and sometimes they're useful. And typically, you discover one use, and then through experience, you learn the other uses. So I think when you first encounter the spirits, you try and walk into them, and you find that it actually dissolves them and causes some damage, takes some energy out of you. So you quickly learn not to do that. You can actually pick them up if you stand next to them. You can throw them around and get them out of your way. And you can the red and white spirits in particular can be used to craft a whole lot of things. So like you found out, the axe is actually kind of one of the starts to one of the many crafting trees. So the axe lets you chop wood and make campfires, which are super useful. So and there's other useful crafting trees you can access with different combinations of spirits. So like five red spirits make something different. A white spirit and a ancient mortar make something else. And yeah, so they're basically, when you've played the game enough and you get over the sort of the nuisance of the spirits, you start to see them as ingredients, and they're sort of like valuable resources because you can't make more spirits. So when you enter a room of spirits, if you do things right, you can actually transmute them into some really powerful objects. And yeah, so the angry spirit, the deep dark black spirit that you encountered, is a dangerous spirit which has a really simple and easy recipe made of 2 red spirits and 1 white spirit, which is, it's intentional that it's easy to craft by accident. We did that on purpose, so that you accidentally make them all the time. And I've been playing the game for quite a while, and I still do it all the time. But those spirits themselves, actually, although they're dangerous, they actually have hidden uses that make them valuable. So it's conceivable that you might walk into a room of spirits and intentionally craft a bunch of angry spirits so that you can then craft other things.
Well, thank you so much for making it so easy to kill myself. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
I don't doubt it. This game is out on Steam and PlayStation 4 and coming later this fall for PS Vita. I could see this kind of game working well on mobile, and the fact that, you know, it's turn-based and tile-based. Do you see yourself working on an iOS or Android port?
You know, we don't have any plans for that currently. I agree with you. I think it would be a really good fit for the platform, and it's definitely something we're gonna talk about depending on how well the game does on the current platforms. So who knows? We might see something like that in the future.
That'd be cool. What else can we see in the future from Spry Fox? What are you working on next?
Oh gosh, so Road Not Taken was consuming a lot of our engineering effort. You know, for a while there, the entire team was working on it, and now that it's out the door, we've been working on maybe a handful of internal prototypes for new games, and we have a couple games that are farther along than the prototyping phase. So we don't really have anything to announce right now, but we're working on a lot of different little projects that we're all really excited about. So hopefully you'll see something new from us in the near future.
Excellent. Well, I've been having fun with this game, and I really appreciate you giving us an inside look into it. It's certainly one of the more thoughtful games I've played so far on IndieSider. I mean, Nightmare Cooperative, it didn't give me a lot of documentation, but I was able to figure out pretty quickly what to do. But this game seems to have quite a bit of depth, and I'm looking forward to the sort of FAQs that people come out with all the different crafting trees, and I can figure out, oh, that's what I was supposed to be doing, and you know, I can finally get good at this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're definitely anticipating, you know, user wikis or something like that coming up to flesh out the Book of Secrets for people who want to just bone up on it and learn all the secrets. So yeah, that's definitely something we expect the community to provide pretty soon now that it's released.
You know, usually when I get early access to a game, I show up on the leaderboards pretty high because there aren't that many people playing this game, but I don't think this game works that way. I think I'm going to do better once more people are playing it because they'll be able to tell me what I'm doing wrong.
That's a good point, yeah.
All right. Great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Pat. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Ken.
All right.